The Zodiac Killer. Today we'll uncover the twisted world of the Zodiac Killer, a serial killer who terrorized North Carolina in the late 1960s and early 1970s. With each attack more disturbing than the last, the Zodiac Killer openly mocked police, sending cryptograms to taunt them. Despite the best efforts of law enforcement, he was never caught, leaving behind a trail of death and destruction. Join us as we explore the dark world of the Zodiac Killer and uncover the different theories surrounding the case. San Francisco's Zodiac Killer is an enigma, one of the most elusive murderers ever. His deeds have been compared to those of the infamous Jack the Ripper. With his cryptic letters and taunts to the press, the Zodiac made his presence known as he terrorized Northern California in the late 1960s and early 1970s. The killer named himself Zodiac, as claimed to have committed no less than 37 murders. Although investigators have only confirmed 7 victims, 2 of whom survived, the letters he sent to the press were filed with cryptograms and taunts that still puzzle investigators today. The letters he sent to the press were filled with cryptograms and taunts that still puzzle investigators today. Some suggest that the mystery of the Zodiac Killer was just an elaborate hoax. But with the evidence that has been collected, how can we know for sure? Although his identity remains a mystery, his heinous crimes continue to captivate and intrigue true crime enthusiasts. So who is the Zodiac Killer? The answer may never be known, but one thing is for sure: his crimes will never be forgotten. Number 1. Lake Herman Road. The Lake Herman Road attack was a tragic event in Benicia, California. On December 20th, 1968, 2 high school students, Betty Lou Jensen and David Faraday, were on a first date, planning to attend the Christmas concert at Hogan High School. Little did they know, this would be their last date. After parking in a secluded area on Lake Herman Road, the couple was attacked by an unknown assailant. Faraday was shot in the head while getting out of the car, and Jensen was shot 5 times in the back as he tried to flee. Despite extensive investigations and countless leads, the killer's identity remains a mystery. Some theories suggest that Zodiac Killer was responsible, while others speculate that the killer was a resident who knew the area very well. Some even suggest that Jensen's ex-boyfriend was responsible, but he was cleared of being involved in the case. Regardless of who the killer was, the Lake Herman Road attack remains a brutal and senseless murder that serves as a stark reminder of the danger that can lurk even in the most innocent of settings. Number 2. Blue Rock Spring Park. It was a quiet summer night in 1969 when Darlene Farron and Michael Mageau parked their car in Blue Rock Springs Park, Vallejo. At 3:04 a.m., a man approached them, shining a flashlight in Farron's face before opening fire, hitting both Farron and Mageau 5 times. The attacker left, but returned shortly after to shoot them 2 more times. Mageau survived by playing dead, but Farron died from her injuries. This brutal attack was just the beginning of the Zodiac Killer's reign of terror. 6 months earlier, on December 20th, 1968, David Faraday and Betty Lou Jensen were shot and killed while sitting in their car in a remote location in Vallejo. The similarities between the 2 attacks led investigators to believe they were connected. On July 4th, 1969, the Zodiac Killer called the Vallejo Police Department to take credit for the Blue Rock Springs Park attack and the Jensen-Faraday murders. He demanded that a cryptogram be printed in the front page of each of the company's newspapers, or he would spend the entire weekend killing people. The letters received by the newspaper contained 1/3 of a 408-symbol cryptogram the killer claimed would reveal his identity once cracked. He also provided details about the attacks that only the killer would know, providing he was responsible. Despite intensive investigations and several suspects, the Zodiac Killer was never caught. Over the years, many theories have emerged about his identity, including that he was a former mental patient, a member of a satanic cult, or a disgruntled postal worker. In August 1969, the killer referred to himself as the Zodiac for the first time in a letter to the San Francisco Examiner. He continued to send letters and cryptograms taunting the police and the public until his last confirmed attack in 1970. The Zodiac Killer remains one of America's history's most infamous unsolved cases. Despite advances in forensic technology, the killer's identity remains a mystery. Number 3. Lake Berryessa. The Lake Berryessa murder is a haunting crime that shook the state of California in 1969. It all began on September 27th, a peaceful morning at Lake Berryessa, where 2 college students, Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard, were out for a picnic. They never could have imagined the horror that awaited them. A man wearing a black executioner's hood approached them as they lounged on a blanket. He held a gun and demanded their car and money to flee to Mexico, claiming to be an escaped convict who had killed a guard. But this was no ordinary robbery. The hooded man had pre-cut lengths of plastic cloth line and ordered Shepard to tie up Hartnell before he tied her up. As they complied, they realized the gravity of the situation. Suddenly, the killer put out a knife and started stabbing them repeatedly. Shepard suffered 10 stab wounds while Hartnell suffered 6. To add to the horror, the killer drew the same cross symbol found at previous crime scenes on Hartnell's car door and even wrote the dates of the murders. The Zodiac Killer had struck again. Just minutes after the murder, the Zodiac Killer called the sheriff's office to lay claim to the crime.
Napa Police Department. I want to report a murder. No, a double murder. They are 2 miles north of parking headquarters. They were in a white Volkswagen Carmen Ghia. I'm the one that did it.
Despite a detailed description of the attacker from the Shepard, the killer was never caught, leaving law enforcement and armchair detectives baffled today. The Lake Berryessa murder remains one of our time's most chilling unsolved cases. Official documents state that the killer may have been a copycat or a serial killer operating outside of California. However, alternative theories suggest that the killer may have been someone closer to home, perhaps even a police officer or someone with inside information. Regardless of who the killer may have been, the Lake Berryessa murder has left an undeniable mark on California's history. The senseless violence and horror that Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard endured that day still echoes through time. Number 4. Presidio Heights. Presidio Heights attack that occurred on October 11th, 1969. The infamous Zodiac Killer carried out the attack once again, and whose true identity still remains a mystery to this day. At 8:24 p.m., the attacker, whose motives remain unknown, entered a cab driven by Paul Stein at the intersection of Mason and Gary Street in San Francisco's Presidio Heights neighborhood. Stein drove the passenger past Maple Street and into Cherry Street, where the passenger shot Stein once in the head with a 9mm pistol. The killer then took Stein's wallet and car keys and wiped the cab down for prints before walking away. 3 teenagers witnessed the crime and reported it to the police. They also saw the man wiping the cab down for prints before walking away 2 blocks from the crime scene. Officer Don Folk responded to the call and saw a white man walking along the sidewalk, stepping into one of the yards of the houses on the north side of the street. Whether this was a killer or not is up for debate. A spook estimated the man was in his late 30s to 40s, while the teenagers estimated that he was between 25 to 30 years of age. The Zodiac Killer would go on to send letters to the Chronicle containing the bloody shirt tale of Paul Stein and a threat that he would target school children on a bus. The letter stated, "I'll shoot out the front tire and pick off the kiddies as they come bouncing out at 2 p.m. On October 20th, 1969, someone claiming to be the Zodiac called the Oakland Police Department and demanded that one of the most prominent lawyers at the time, Eva F. Lee Bailey, or Melvin Belly, appear on a local television show so that he could converse with them. Belly agreed to meet with him in Dolly City, but he has yet to attend. Another cryptogram was received a month later, in November, and consisted of 340 characters. The day after this, the Zodiac Killer mailed a 7-page letter stating that the 2 policemen would stop them and spoken to him just minutes after he killed Paul Stein. Despite extensive investigations and countless theories, the true identity of the Zodiac Killer remains a mystery. Some theories suggest that the killer may have been a group of people, while others believe that he may have connections to the military or law enforcement. While the case remains unsolved, the mystery of the Zodiac Killer continues to captivate and intrigue audiences worldwide. Number 5. The Modesto Joyride. Modesto Joyride, a chilling incident on a dark and eerie night in March 1970. It all started when Kathleen John's car developed a problem with the right wheel. A car behind her honked its horn and flashed its headlights, and the man inside offered to tighten the wheel. Kathleen agreed, and after the man finished, he drove off. But the wheel came off when Kathleen tried to get back on the highway. The man turned and offered to drive her to a gas station for help. They drove around for 90 minutes through back roads near Tracy, and when Kathleen asked why he didn't stop at any service stations, he changed the subject. Eventually, the man stopped at an intersection, and Kathleen seized the opportunity to escape with her daughter and hid in a nearby field. The man searched for her but eventually gave up and drove off. Kathleen reported the incident at a police station where she recognized the sketch of Paul Stein's killer, the infamous Zodiac Killer. The Zodiac Killer continued to taunt the police throughout the 1970s, sending them letters and greeting cards which he forwarded to the press. He even claimed responsibility for the 1970 bombing of a police station in San Francisco, but denied involvement in other crimes. He also threatened to blow up a school bus and send a diagram of a bomb. He wrote a phony cipher that, if cracked, would lead to the location of a bomb he had placed. To this day, the cipher remains unsolved. One of America's most notorious serial killers, the Zodiac Killer. The case has remained unsolved for over 50 years, but with new advances in DNA technology, there's hope that justice will finally be served. The Zodiac Killer terrorized Northern California in the late 1960s and early 1970s. With at least 5 confirmed victims, 2 of them managed to survive, providing police with valuable evidence. But what makes this case truly chilling is the Zodiac's desire for attention, sending cryptic letters boasting about his gruesome murders. Despite all this evidence, the killer remains unidentified, and the case was marked inactive in 2004. But in 2008, the case was reopened to no avail. Fast forward to 2018, and with the success of the Golden State Killer DNA investigation, the police decided to try again. This time, they had new DNA technology that could extract DNA from the killer's licked stamps. But here's where things get interesting. There are some official theories, but also plenty of alternative ones. Some believe that the Zodiac Killer was multiple people working together, while others think that he may have been a copycat. Regardless, the fact remains that the killer has never been caught. So will the police finally be able to identify the Zodiac Killer using DNA evidence? We'll have to wait and see. What do you think? Let us know in the comments below. And once again, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you in the next video.